To look at some of the Python operators that we can use with numbers, we're going to continue with our Hello World project. So we want to create a new file here. We'll call this one Operators. So what I'll do is start by binding a couple of labels to two int values. Remember that you'll also hear that described as assigning the values to the variables, but that's not the best way of thinking about it in Python. So I'm going to type a equals 12, and on the next line b equals 3. Whenever we use the name a, Python knows that it refers to the value 12. Similarly, b will refer to the value 3. So let's create some expressions to see the basic Python arithmetic operators. So I'll start on line 4, print parentheses, then within the parentheses a plus b. Next line, print parentheses again, this time a minus b. And what I'll do is actually go back up to the previous line, and I'll do a tab and I'll just put the expected results there. So 15 would be the value of the first one. The next one, 9. All right, line 6, parentheses after the keyword print a multiplied by b, and the value for that should be 36. Next line, print parentheses and then a divided by b, and that should give us the value 4.0. Next line, print, then parentheses a, integer division, which is 2 forward slashes with b, and that should give us the value of 4. And again, it's integer division, and it's rounded down towards minus infinity. Then the last line we'll do a, be consistent here with the formatting, a %b, which is the remainder operator, and that's going to 0, modulo, and it's the remainder after integer division. Alright, just fix this line up as well, just so it's consistently spaced. Alright, and there we have it. So probably there shouldn't be any real surprises here, except possibly the use of an asterisk for multiplication, if you're new to programming languages. X is a valid name for a variable, which means we have to use the asterisk for multiplication. So I'll just run the program first to make sure we get the expected results, and you saw me add those as comments or for each line. So we'll run it, and there's our results, as you can see exactly as we've got written in the comments. Note though that although we're using int values, division produces a float result, 4.0, which you can see in the source code on line 7. Now if we use 2 forward slashes to perform integer division, then the result is an integer. You saw that on line 8 and we got the expected result 4 in this case. So that can be important if we intend to use that value in a place where an int must be used. So to give an example, I'm going to add some code to print a blank line, then the numbers 1 to 3. Now don't worry too much about understanding this next bit of code. I'll use one here to illustrate the point, but we're going to be discussing for loops in detail in the next section in this course. For now, just make sure that you put 4 spaces before the word print and a colon at the end of the for line. And you'll see what that means when I start typing now. All right, so here I am now on line 11. I'm going to just add print and then empty parentheses to print an empty line or blank line, and then next I'm going to type 4 on line 13, for I in range, and parentheses 1, 4 in the parentheses, and then a colon immediately after that. Now if I just press enter, you can see that IntelliJ's tabbed that for us, but if that's not happened for you automatically, you'll need to put those 4 spaces in as I mentioned. And so print in parentheses the letter I, and if I run this, you can see we get the results 1 to 3. Now the values we used in range, and I'll just close down the run window now, they're on line 13, must be integers. So if I change this to use a divided by b, come down here, so instead of 4, changing that to a divided by b, we get an error there, or we will get an error when we run it. As you can see, we've got a type error there. Float object cannot be interpreted as an int. So performing integer division using 2 forward slashes instead of 1 would actually prevent this problem. And you can see we get the numbers 1, 2, 3, and the warning has now disappeared. So essentially we changed the code to perform integer division, and the result of a//b or 2/b's is now an int. We'll see another way to cope with situations like this, but for now it's something you need to be aware of. Python is strongly typed, and you can't use a float in places where an int must be used. Alright, so code like a plus b, as I've done up here on line 4, is called an expression. In the next video, we'll learn what expressions are. See you in the next video.